Alright, cedar, fence plank. Okay, it's time to mark. Okay, so I'm gonna use this beige sealant from Pirgo, how you pronounce. And sand it later. Okay, so you can see the difference, but it's not even sanded yet. Maybe I'm gonna continue, although the gap is not too much bigger over there. Still have some gaps here. This one is kind of filled. Of course, this needs to be sanded. Yeah, this is the best silicone. Earth. A little bit more on top. So here I am drilling the holes for the spotlights, and the size of the drum, the circular drum, is 2¼ inch, equaling 57 millimeters. Yep. By the way, I'm using these Simpson ties. 90-degree angle. And I'm using this Jackery Explorer 240, by the way, for lighting. I know I went off grid too early, even during the building stage. Yeah, so these metal spring here helps to keep it tight. And simply you just have to push it up from under into the hole that you just drilled. And again, the size of the hole that was drilled is 2¼ inch, equaling 57 millimeters. I'm going to show you, this is the Milwaukee drill drum that I have used. The black is going to be the negative and the red is going to be the positive. And we're going to connect the 12-volt LEDs to the Jackery. After this, I assume that you have a cigarette lighter plug with the wires cut like I did to figure out which one is the plus and minus. If you don't know which wire is which, then you can have this digital multimeter turned on to the voltage and set it to 20 volt, and this is DC. So there's a button in the Jackery for the 12 volt, and if I turn it on, yeah, it took a little while, but now, yeah, 12.6070, it works. If you have the wires the opposite way than you suspect it is, it would show minus 12.67 volt. Okay, so the only issue with this now, it's a little bit short, the exposed wire, so I can use this utility knife to carefully peel the insulation off. Yeah, this is more professional to put it in the smaller hole, 4-40, and sometimes use the utility knife is a nice way to get started. You see, it has these holes, and then you just squeeze on it a little bit. And this is also nice to have a smaller wire cutter. Okay, so I've connected this soldering iron into the jackery, and I still need to push this button to start, to get the juice in the AC. They do these buttons because it can save some energy. It doesn't drain the battery if you turn it off by default. So now this thing's gonna take a little while to heat up. You can see the LEDs are on. It means it's actually heating. And I'm gonna secure the connection, and of course I'm gonna connect the other wire too. Just in a bit. Be careful not to touch this because it can burn you once it's heated up. It can take probably like a few minutes, maybe 3-4 minutes. Another thing you're gonna need this electrical solder. This happens to be lead-free rosin core solder, which is better. It's also more expensive. I guess it's better for your health. Maybe just one more thing. The melting point of this is 419 Fahrenheit equals 215 Celsius. This is kind of important when you buy this soldering iron, because they're different sizes. So you kind of have to be aware of the temperature. The hotter can be the better up to a certain level, but I happen to have like a very precise small one, and it didn't have enough juice to melt this. So that's kind of important to have enough temperature to melt it. So the soldering iron uses about like 40 watts of energy. That's something good to know. Of course, your jackery, this jackery is like, I think 200 or 240 watt max. So you have to be aware of the consumption of the soldering iron. But most likely you're gonna be fine. So I'm melting this electrical solder on the wire to establish a very secure connection. All nice. Wait until it hardens, and then you need to test the connection. Try to pull it away so you can put it down, and then you melt this. This is how it looks, the plus on the red, minus on the black, and nice. I wish they would give a little bit thicker wire, but it has very low wattage, so it wasn't necessary. So now, this is a parallel connection, by the way. Now I have to connect the rest. And of course, before you even start it up, it's important to put insulation, because you don't want to accidentally short. You don't want these two wires, the black and the red, accidentally touch, because that can blow the fuse. Oh, and also I want to just mention that I definitely like the soldering better than any other way, because obviously melting metals together gives you a much more reliable connection, especially that these vehicles, these tiny houses, are usually on the road moving. And so it's not really just like a regular home. Regular home, nothing really moves, unless you're in an earthquake, of course, but that rarely ever happens. But when you're driving a truck or a van, it always moves. So I like this method better than what regular electricians use. And of course, their method is faster. I'm not saying it's bad. Using these is also an option to connect the wires. Twist these on the wire until it's tight. And put insulation. Yeah, so this is how it looks with the nuts on it. And of course, I will still insulate these. So this is the liquid electrical tape to paint. Now it's time to connect the next one. And I'm going to have to splice this carefully in the middle, so make sure I don't damage the wire. I use the utility knife and then I pull it away, so now I can connect the next one, next LED parallel onto this one, because there's no hole to go through, so I have to just peel with the knife just enough so I can connect. I hope it's visible. So very carefully not to cut into the copper. So I can solder the wire. The two wires together. Yeah, something like this. And remove the insulation and do the next one. It's actually smart to offset a little bit, because even if the insulation would come off, they would not touch. You need some patience. And precision. And now it's just probably smarter to use this one to remove this insulation. Okay, so now is negative to the black. Sometimes it's okay, yeah, nice. And then the positive to the red. And I'm gonna have to use the soldering iron to secure the connections. Okay, let's focus. So I usually try to heat up the wires, but then wires are usually not hot enough, so I push a little bit here and then between, and then finally on the wire. And then you can try to pull it away. They call it the torque test or something. But yeah, make sure it's strong enough. Don't pull it too hard, but you know, just moderate. You see, make sure it nicely melted. The red one actually looks a little bit better than this one, but I think it's good enough. Just get rid of these shreds, because I don't like to melt these. All right. Yeah, looks like one little wire got damaged, but it's not a big deal. We have many. So now the plus to the red, wrap it around. And the minus to the black. and solder. I connected. I still need to insulate, but I connected it to the cigar lighter charger part of the jackery. So now all I have to do is just press this button and we have lighting. Pretty cool. So here I'm doing some rough sanding of the walls because this is typically not the best tool to sand, but it gives you fast results. And then I'm still gonna use the belt sander to go over it to do like a more fine sanding. And you know that Pirgo that I used to seal, it's faster to get it off with this. And yeah, this tool uses batteries, but for the belt sander I'm gonna have to use the generator. So this generator happened to be resting on the land, and I decided to drag it up closer to the car, and it was a hell of a job. This generator is like I don't know, hundreds of pounds heavy, and the slope is pretty hard. So this is one of those times when you need to use your muscles and manpower to accomplish the task. I also had my truck running because I had a difficult time to start it up, and it's because the cold weather and the high elevation. So once I managed to start it up, I decided to turn on the engine like every 2 hours to keep it warm, because yeah, it was so hard. I know I probably need to get something like to help start the diesel. I remember there's something that you can spray in the air filter, or some additive that you can use. So you can imagine the high elevation and the cold air results in lower pressure during the compression and lower temperature. So it's definitely not a good thing. And who knows, maybe it's like the age of a truck. The sealants, some sealants are not the best. But otherwise the engine is perfect. It runs really good when I'm not on high elevation, not in the cold weather. Yeah, so here it is, the belt sander plugged in the generator, and I'm using some finer sanding. I have to adjust it a little bit. And by the way, this is like 18-inch long belt. In the next video I plan to refine the electrical system, maybe setting some switches, and connect the solar panels to the solar charge controller and the inverter. See you later.